Hello, hello, hello. This is Heather Vickery, and you've tuned in to the Brave Files podcast. So happy to have you here with us today. This is actually a really special episode. I've finally been able to get our associate producer, Mary Fields, on the show. Mary is an integral part of Team Brave, and we couldn't do what we do here on the Brave Files podcast without her. And her story of strength, resilience, and kindness has always been an inspiration to me. Growing up, Mary was alone, unwanted, and angry. She didn't just feel like she was alone, unwanted, and angry. She flat out was those things. And the people who were supposed to love and support her the most were quick to tell her so. But now, Mary is an amazing mother of four who lives a life that brings her joy and peace, and she's even built her own business. Mary is resilience personified. The story of how she lived with and grew through her trauma begins with Mary's stubborn promise to herself that she alone would determine her future, and so she has. Get cozy and join us for this incredible conversation. Mary, thank you for putting your truth and your vulnerability out to share with our listeners. It's really a gift. Now here we go.
Courage, hope, resilience.
This is Heather Vickery, and you're listening to The Brave Files, stories from people living courageously. When we choose bravely in big and small ways, it powerfully elevates our lives. I hope these stories connect with you and encourage you to embrace bravery in every possible way, day after day. Together, we can build a movement of courageous living that enriches both our lives and our communities. And if you enjoy the show, I ask you to please share it with others. Maybe think of someone who you want to choose bravely right alongside you. Thanks for tuning in. Now here's the show. Hey everyone, welcome to the Brave Files podcast. So happy to have you here with us today. And y'all, this is really, really cool because I have one of our associate podcast producers, Mary, here with us today. You know, the thing is, I know really cool people. I work with really wonderfully brave people, but often they like to keep themselves back on the sidelines. And my dear Mary has agreed to come on and talk about really something that I think is impactful and important for all of you, which is the fact that our stories, our histories do not define us. They do not tell us who we have to be or what our role is in the world, and that we can create change. We do not have to be what everyone else expects of us or what they think that we should be, no matter what has happened. Mary, I love you, and I'm so glad you decided to join me here for a conversation. Welcome to the Brave Files.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
I was like, okay, so now here's what we do on the interview. And Mary, you get to hear the whole scoop. First of all, I love having you as part of Team Brave. And honestly, this podcast just couldn't do its thing without you. So thanks for being awesome.
Well, thank you for letting me be awesome.
Okay, so you have a really I don't want to tell your story, you're a mom of four, three older daughters and a younger son. And I don't know, would you say you're a pretty great mom? Tell the truth.
Yes, I do think I'm a good mom. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
I think you're a great mom. You have these wonderful children. You have this wonderful relationship with them. But that isn't something that you learned. That is something you created.
Absolutely. Yes, for sure.
And so you have a very interesting background, and I'd love for you to, tell us a little bit about the development of you. What we're really going to focus on is the redevelopment of you, but we need to know where we were coming from so that we can get to where we're going. And so would you share a little bit of your growing up with us?
Sure. So, interestingly enough, I have started and stopped writing a book about my childhood many times because it's difficult. But my story starts, and the book, I guess, starts with me saying that I was born broken. I was born being a burden. I did not grow up with either one of my parents. My mom left really early in my life, and my dad was just very absent. I saw him maybe once a year if I was lucky. And so I lived with my paternal grandmother for most of my life. There was a short period, about 5 years, that I lived with my mom between the time I was 3 and 8. But I have always been kind of, I'm not exactly sure the word to use, but kind of pushed off to one family member to another. I was in foster homes. There was a lot of abuse, and I didn't really have a family. So up until the time I was 14, I was really just a burden to people, or at least that's how I was made to feel.
And so, yeah, let's sit in on that just a little bit. First of all, my mama heart just hurts hearing, you're a grown up and you've done amazing things with your life, but that is hard to hear that any child has had to go through that experience. I just want you to know I see you. And I'm sorry on behalf of the universe, because no one deserves that. Can you tell us, though, a little bit? I was made to believe that I was a burden. Mm-hmm. Can you be a little bit more specific with that?
Sure. It was very clear because I was told. Even my so my father, his mother is the one I lived with for many years, and he's one of 11 children. And many of my aunts and uncles were not happy that my grandmother had taken me in. My father would be considered the black sheep of the family. And whenever they would come around, so my grandmother was already probably in her 70s, I guess, when I started living with her. Wow. And and they just made it very clear that I was a bad seed and that I was probably going to grow up to be like my mother or my father. And if I came into the room when they were visiting, they would say, "Oh, why is she here? Why don't you just give her away? Put her in." Right. So, and, I didn't get a lot of love and affection from my grandmother either, because she would say to me, if your grandfather were still here, you wouldn't be here. He wouldn't stand for this. So, every day of my life, I kind of felt like, why am I here? Nobody wants me. Nobody wants me around. And yeah, that's basically it.
It's fascinating. First of all, just your existence is inspiring, and I will use the word again, fascinating to me, because you were clearly born to thrive despite, right? I just don't know how a tiny person experiences that and hears that all the time and doesn't break or stay broke. You said born broken, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which you're going to write that book, by the way. I will say this. Okay. So we had a guest on the show a couple weeks ago, Jim, who does energy healing. And I had him do a distance healing ceremony on me. And he saw, we need you to have one with him. Maybe we should facilitate that. One of the things that he saw for me was, or from me, picked up from my energy, was an eagle with its throat slit. But before everyone panics like I did, instead of blood, there was bright light shining through the injury. And that makes me think of you. Like sometimes it's from where we're broken that our brightest light shines.
Yes, for sure. I am pretty stubborn. I'm a pretty stubborn person. And so even through all of that, I wanted to prove everybody wrong. I was really angry as a kid, very angry because
deservedly so. Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't understand because I hadn't done anything wrong. I was really a good kid. I hardly got in trouble. I was, a normal kid, so I acted out in some ways. But for the most part, I was a good kid and I was a pleaser. I wanted everybody to like me, and I liked everybody. I, like people. And so I was very stubborn, and I would get really angry, and I would be like, well, that's not who I am, and that's not who I'm going to be. And I don't know where that comes from, but somehow I got it and just made a decision to not be what everybody just assumed I was going to be.
I think that's really powerful because a lot of people lean right into who folks assume they're going to be. And you did the opposite of that. I guess that's usually the way it goes. You go all the way one way or all the way the other opposite direction. So you're living with your dad's mom, but you never see your dad. So were they estranged?
Yes and no. My dad, I'm convinced that he had has a form of autism, because he doesn't, and he's much older now. He's in his 70s. So back then, if you were different or if you learned differently, you were pretty much an outcast. And he, from a very early age, left home and did his own thing and just never came back. And he would come back occasionally, but when he did, he would never see anyone in my family, including myself. He would go to where he felt was safe, which was not us. And so, he still occasionally will call me, but there's no connection. There's no, he doesn't really ask how my kids are or how I am. He just like, hey, I'm still around. So being the black sheep of the family, I kind of bore that shame or that. So, and the relationship between he and my mom was pretty wild. I don't think they were married for very long when I came along, and he was definitely not equipped to be a father, and my mom proved that she was not equipped to be a mother. So,
Now, she took you back. You said 3 to 8.
Yes.
She came and got you from your grandmother.
She did. And that is an interesting story in and of itself. She came on, I was 3, Easter. This is the story as I have been told it. She came back on Easter Sunday when I was 3 and said that she wanted to spend the day with me. And my grandma said, okay. And she never brought me back. We moved to Oklahoma, where my mom had had a new family, a new husband, and was pregnant with my brother. And I lived with them until I was 8. Well, there were a couple more marriages in there for my mom and some more kids also, but I was with her in Oklahoma, Texas, till I was 8. And then the authorities got involved and removed me from her home, and I was put back with my grandma back in Indiana. So I was kind of all over the country.
And your siblings, do you have any relationship with any of them?
I do not. No. We tried. I will say that. I am much older than a lot of them. I mean, I do have the one brother that's about 3 to 4 years younger than me, but he's in, I think, Massachusetts. And then I have some siblings in Oklahoma. And then my mom does have one more son who I think is maybe 22.
Wow.
Yes. And he actually didn't know about me until about 4 years ago. And he has refused any kind of contact. So.
Oh my gosh. And they are not all close, right? They're all scattered and removed from her as well.
Yes. My mom she only kept one of the 6 children, and that was her youngest. And she, as far as I know, they still remain close, but the rest of us,
oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. I can't, something's missing. Something's, talk about broken. Like there's something wrong. You've birthed children. I've birthed children. I don't know. I really try to not judge, but I cannot understand how there isn't a connection there, or at least a desire to see your offspring thrive.
Yeah, I agree. And after I had my youngest daughter, who's now 15, I did find my mom and I reached out to her. I sent her pictures of the girls, and she basically was like, look, you ruined my life and I'm not interested. So,
Mary.
yeah, I mean, that's for a long time. I really thought, okay, I really did ruin somebody's life,
No, you
but
did not.
no, I didn't. And it's all on her. And there will never be any kind of connection there. And for a long time, I felt really bad about it, but I don't anymore.
Good.
I don't know how I came to that, but somehow.
Well, that's something that I had in my notes here that I wanted to chat with you about is this idea of learning to fight for yourself and your right to exist and your right to be whole and your right to be happy. And that's been a long journey for you, not just childhood, but also through your first marriage, which didn't, you're not married to that person anymore. That didn't work.
Right.
Where would you say that, first of all, just the knowledge that you were going to learn to fight for yourself? And then was any of it conscious, the fighting for yourself?
I don't think when I was little, I don't think so. So when I was 14, I have an aunt. It would be my dad's sister. My uncle took me out of my grandmother's house and said, enough is enough. She's 14 years old. She doesn't, I wasn't in any extracurricular activities. I didn't have a lot of friends. I just wasn't thriving as a human being. I wasn't a teenager, really. I was just alone in my room reading all the time. And my aunt said, I'm done. I'm taking her away from this. And that was the first time in 14 years that I felt like a human being, that I felt like I mattered and that I had opinions and that somebody cared about me. I can probably count on one hand the amount of times I had been told that somebody loved me or that they hugged me or anything like that until I was 14 and my aunt said, you are worth it. You are worth all of this. And she used to say to me, you wear your heart on your sleeve. You just care so deeply about other people and injustice and animals. And I must have just been born with that, but her telling me you're worth it and that you're a good person just said to me, you know what, you're right. I'm going to be better than what people think I am. I'm going to prove everyone wrong.
Yeah. And now, was this one of your father's siblings?
Yes, it was my dad's sister. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, thank goodness for her. That's an interesting, I sort of have that working theory that despite any obstacles, and you had many, but any child who has obstacles, as long as one person loves us enough,
right,
there can be change. But somebody has to love you.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's a teacher or, a person that lives down the street or an aunt or whatever, we have to be loved.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. There's something, you are like me, you're an empath. You also have some fascinating paranormal experiences. Mm-hmm. And a different guest that we had on the show years ago, Megan Caper and I were talking just recently about the fact that an awful lot of people who have had traumatic childhoods tend to have a deeper connection to the unseen, the unprovable. Mm-hmm. I would love to hear your thoughts on that. And if you'll share with us a little bit about what your experiences are there and maybe how you think have they helped you?
So I remember, one thing kind of going back a little bit, I don't have a lot of memories of the time that I spent between 3 and 8 with my mom. And it wasn't until I had my oldest daughter, who is now 18. After I had her, I went to therapy because I couldn't remember things and I was grieving for the child that I was. And here I had this sweet little baby, and I couldn't understand why I wasn't loved as much as I loved this human being. And he diagnosed me with a dissociative disorder. And so all this trauma that I had between the ages of 3 and 5,
Right.
I just forgot.
Which makes sense. Survival, right? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So a lot of things are kind of disjointed, but I do remember paranormal stuff happening. And there's one story that I remember very clearly that my mom said, because there was a lot of abuse when I was with my mom and one of my stepfathers, who he is no longer living. So I will try not to say too many disparaging things about him, but there was a lot of abuse, a lot of drugs. And I remember my mom coming into my room before school one day, and she said, "You are so lucky, because I was coming in here to get you, and there was a little Indian girl standing in front of your bedroom, and she stopped me." And she repeated that story to me several times. And when I was in therapy, I said, "What do you think? Do you think this is real? Do you think there was a little Indian girl standing in front of my room?" And my therapist said, 100%, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Somebody was watching after you, and they're probably still with you. So I do think that trauma, children especially, because they're so innocent, right? They're so innocent, and they're more susceptible to the things that as adults we're told that don't exist. As a little kid, you don't know that they don't exist, or you're not taught that. They're just there. And I think that in some ways they were pretty terrifying, but in other ways they were very comforting. And I did feel sometimes when I would go to bed, I would feel like it's going to be okay, because there's a little Indian girl standing outside of my bedroom door. And so, yeah, I guess, yes, I did find some comfort in that.
But that's not, I mean, you've had a lot of experiences, strange, unexplainable experiences, electrical experiences, and things like that. I don't know. I mean, I wonder, this is all going to sound so crazy to some of you listening. So just bear with us and have fun with us. Because I'm super fascinated by all of it. But I do wonder if it comes from a sense of you being protected. Like, it doesn't quite make sense that you survived and thrived that.
Right.
Without something protecting you.
Right. Yeah, for sure. This is when I was married to my first husband. We were married for 13 years, and he's the father of my 3 daughters. And I was going through a period of time where I was very sick, and we couldn't figure out what it was. And I was sitting in the bathtub, and I was sobbing because I was in so much pain. And he walks into the bathroom and he says, "Okay, I don't know what's going on, but you have to stop making the lights flicker." Because every time that I would just start crying, all the lights on the first floor would just flicker. And clearly he was freaked out by it. I was not, because I was like, something's wrong. Something's wrong. Like, I need to go to a doctor or something. But definitely a lot of unexplainable things. I guess maybe all this time that I felt like I was alone, I really wasn't. So.
Yeah, it's just really interesting to me, what helps us cope, how we learn to fight for ourselves and learn to thrive. So then, okay, let's move forward. Thank you for sharing all of that. I think, again, it just hurts my mama heart so much to hear all of that. And I also appreciate your aunt for showing you love, because I'm awfully glad that I get to love you, that you're part of my little heart family. When you have your own children, but you have no role models for how to be a parent or how to do this thing that's really quite hard, what did you do? Like, was it just autopilot? Was it just instinct for you? Like, how do you become such a great mom when you had no one?
Well, I made a decision to not be the person that my parents were.
For sure. Yeah.
And, I do owe a lot of it to my aunt and my uncle who made me feel like a human being. And I definitely consciously told myself my children did not choose to be here. I chose for them to be here. I guess maybe on some alter level, maybe they did choose to be here and to be my children.
My kids tell me that all the time. They're like, whatever, we didn't choose to get born. That was your choice.
So I don't know. Sometimes I like to think that they did choose me to be their mom, but I don't know. But I have always had this feeling that, they're humans. They have their own thoughts, their own feelings, and I want to honor that in them. I want to give them choices, and I want them to, of course, I need to parent them and give them boundaries and rules and things like that. But within those parameters, they're still human and they're still learning. And I want to give them the best chance to learn in a very safe environment. And there has never been anything off the table for us to talk about. If they want to talk about it, we're going to talk about it, and I'm not going to judge them, and we will get through whatever it is. And I think that has definitely created a much deeper bond and a deeper understanding. They know where I'm coming from. I know where they're coming from. And it's very safe. And that's what I have always wanted, is that I am a safe place for my kids.
And are they a safe place for you?
They are. My favorite place to be is with them, around them. And it makes me very happy when they are. And I'm always sad when I have one in college and one heading out to college, and I always cry every time they leave. So
yeah, I don't know that ever changes.
Yeah,
I don't know. My mom still cries when I leave, and I've been leaving for a long time. So here's what I'm curious about. First of all, you almost reinvented your life more than once, right? Multiple times. And this version that you're sitting in now, are you peaceful?
Gosh, that's a great question. I am. And I have my son who's 5, so there's a big age difference between him and my youngest daughter who's 15. And my girls even say to me, "Gosh, you're such a more calm, peaceful mom."
Age will do that.
Yes, and having a relationship with a partner, my husband, who really just accepts every part of me. I mean, he doesn't always like it, but he does accept me, and he lets me be me. I mean, it's just kind of new to be with somebody who lets you be you and encourages you to be you and to not downplay, I guess, who you are, because we all have those moments. And so I still do, obviously.
Of course.
And I would definitely say I'm much more peaceful than I used to be. I'm not angry. I'm not that angry little girl that I used to be. I used to be very, very angry.
I think that's something you've mentioned to me before, is that you held that anger for a very long time. And there's a really beautiful freedom from choosing to not let that anger own real estate, of social, emotional, mental real estate, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Was that a conscious unraveling or a conscious untethering for you?
No, it wasn't. You mentioned earlier people who love you, and you mentioned teachers. And I will say that my old high school principal, I went through a phase where I was getting a lot of detentions because I was acting out at school. And I wasn't going to graduate because
Wow.
I was getting the detentions and I wasn't following through. And he said to me, "Look, you're a good kid, and I'm not going to let you not graduate. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wipe the slate clean, and you're going to start over, and we're going to watch you walk across that stage. You're going to graduate, and you're going to do great things." And I think that was really when I was like, wait, there are more people pulling for me. They want to see me succeed. And so it's time to stop being angry and just let's see who I can be.
Wow. Oh, I love that so much that we're going to just erase this and rewrite it and redo it the way you want it to be. I love that. I mean, obviously, it's such a huge part of what I do and coach and speak and train on, which is this whole idea that we create the future and the life that we want, that we manifest it. And speaking of that, you have some pretty fierce manifestation skills, my friend.
I guess.
You guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe. What are you talking about? What specifically are you talking about?
I mean, I think you have them in all the ways, but I can remember a story in particular. And first of all, when we first met and you started supporting the podcast and me, you were working full time as a teacher, and then the pandemic hit. And that shifted for you, and you had sort of, I think, thought you had to do things a certain way, but the universe kept bringing you other options.
Right.
In the form of particularly of helping authors launch books and working in publishing. Right? Do I have this right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to tell your story for you. It took you a minute, I think. Would you say, to like go, oh, wait, hold on. This is a thing that I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, for sure. There are still days, because it hasn't been that long. There are still days where I'm pinching myself and saying, wait, is this real? Like, is this really happening? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't know.
and then you would like share with that, like you lose a client and you would feel devastated. And like, what would happen?
Oh, yes. Yes. Okay. So that's where we're going. Yes, I did. I lost a client, no fault of my own and no real fault of their own. It just didn't work out. And I was really, sad and started feeling that imposter syndrome, like that I'm not, why am I doing this? I'm not good enough. And I actually called you and I was saying, this sucks. Like, what am I doing? And while I was on the phone with you and you were telling me, look, I want you to make a list of the good, why are you doing this? And why is this good for you? And I hung up the phone with you. I made my list and I checked my email. And in the period of time that I had made my list, I had 2 emails from 2 new potential clients that are actually now clients. So yes, it's true. I have been very lucky and grateful and thankful that when one door closed, another one opened for me. And it has been kind of the rolling theme for the last year that something happens and I feel like it's the end of the world. And I say, universe, what is going on? Why is this happening? And then I take a breath and I say, I can do this. And then it happens. Mm-hmm. So
it's impossible for me to hear you tell that story when you told it to me the first time and as you retell it without feeling that connection to the unknown that we were talking about earlier, right? Mm-hmm. Like something's got your back. The universe has your back. Something you need only calm down and focus on it and redirect your mind for something to be okay and work the way you want it to. I really feel that for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been pretty incredible. So I feel like after it happened a few times that I started kind of recognizing like, oh, okay, somebody out there, the universe has you. So let's put out the positive energy, maybe be sad for a minute, but then keep looking forward, because it always gets better. I don't know why, I don't know how, but it always gets better. And I think it is because what you put out there, you get back.
That's right.
And, if I was angry and frustrated by it and stuck in that mud and muck, then no, it wasn't going to get better. But if I can say, okay, this sucks, let's keep going, then it just does.
Yeah. It reminds me, have you read the book, The Immortalists?
I have not.
I've been dying to talk about this book. I totally think you should read it. It's one of those books that I read and then I finished it and I went, oh my God, why did I read this book? It was awful. I should never have read this book. But then a month later, I can't stop talking about it. So the book is fiction, but it follows 4 siblings who in the early 50s go to a fortune teller, and she tells them all individually, but without their siblings around, the date that they will die. And then the rest of the book follows each of the 4 siblings, starting with the one who dies first. And really what the book is about is thoughts become things. How we manifest, how what we believe to be true becomes true.
Right.
And you are a prime example of you believed you were worthy, and you are. You believed you didn't have to follow this terrible line of thinking that your family told you to, and you haven't. Right? You believed you could be an entrepreneur and start your own business, and you have. And we have quite a bit of control. And also, alternately, if we believe the bad, if we believe the negative, if we believe that, it becomes our truth.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I do think, not often, but I do think, gosh, I wonder how different my life would be if I had listened to all of my family members that said, you're going to be a failure and you're going to end up on the streets and you're going to be a nobody. Like, I probably would be, because I wouldn't have pushed myself to be anything other than that, because why not? That's what everybody already thinks of me. So, but I didn't fall for that.
Yeah, no, it's that intuitive connection of yours. I think it's really cool. And I've been watching you progress through this journey of just sort of untether, aware, look for the signs, stay present, and build. And it's been really impressive. It's inspiring.
Thank you. It's God, it's been a journey. And it doesn't feel I don't know. I think at this point it just feels natural to just be like, all right, well, you went through that, and you can get through this. So let's just keep going. Yeah. And now I have, 4 kids that I want them to see that, hey, you can do this. You put your mind to it and you can do it. So
yeah. That's a huge thing for me, for a lot of people, is they're watching and we want to show them that we can. I love it. I believe this is probably fairly new for you, Mary, but how do you celebrate?
Well, you were right. It is pretty new because celebration was not, I didn't grow up with any kind of celebration. So it took a long time for me to enjoy things, even when good things would happen. It made me uncomfortable. And I would say celebration I can celebrate for other people, no problem. But for myself, definitely very new. So I like to pause in the moment. That's really big for me. I will even say, okay, wait, I need to stop. Just everybody be quiet. Thank you, universe, for what is happening right now.
Yes.
But we are also a very foodie family. We love food. And my daughter just got this big academic award. And I said, okay, how do you want to celebrate? And she's like, I want food. Like, I'm like, okay. So we like to do that. But most importantly for me is just to take time in the moment and just say thank you, because somebody's got your back. And I just want to put it out there that I'm thankful for it.
I love that. That's one of my favorite answers to this question. Is just to pause and thank the universe for it and just feel it, absorb it. It's beautiful. That's really, really cool. I've had fun chatting with you. They're not fun topics, but it's really fun to see you give power to your truth, but not let that truth have power over you. You're going to write the book, right?
I'm going to try. I keep trying.
Well, there's no try, only do. You don't have to publish the book to write the book.
That's
true. It could be a very cathartic experience.
That's true. I think my big fear is just the anger that other people will have towards it, but I guess that's on them, right?
That's right. Your truth is your truth.
Right.
Change the names to protect the not so innocent.
Yeah. Right. Very true.
I think it's going to be really powerful for you, and it could really connect with and support and change the lives of a lot of other people. So I hope you do it.
All right. I usually whatever you tell me to do, I do, because I'm like, she knows what she's talking about. So,
oh, thanks, Mary. Hey, before we wrap up this interview, tell me what your favorite charitable organization is to support.
Oh, that is so hard. It changes so much because, like my aunt said, I wear my heart on my sleeve. So I'm kind of a justice warrior, as are my children. So, I think right now I would choose the Trevor Project. I think that's what I would choose. I think that they are a great organization for our youth, and yeah, that's what I would choose, the Trevor Project.
Yeah, I love the Trevor Project. They'll be our charity of the week, as you know, because you are the associate producer of the show. But we're going to share the love with them. So folks, I ask you this every week, but get to know them. Give what you can, time, money, social media clicks, shares, whatever it is. And remember that we're called upon right now collectively as humans, as a global community of people, to support one another and lift each other up. And remember that your story, your history doesn't have to be your truth. It doesn't have to define you. It doesn't have to guide you. You can create change. You can fight for your right to exist in the world the way you want to, just like my sweet friend Mary has. So Mary, thank you so much for coming on. I know this was a big deal for you. I know this was really hard, and I think you're super duper brave.
Thank you. I feel much better now.
Now it's over. Will you share your 3 words with us one last time?
Sure. Courage, hope, and resilience.
There you go, folks. It's all about that. Courage, hope, and resilience. And Mary is those things exemplified. I hope that this connected with you. I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can give us a call at 312-646-0205. I can't wait to connect with you. Come hang out with us in the Brave on Purpose Collective. If you like the show, subscribe, rate, review, share it with a friend. I'm so happy to be part of your brave journey through life. This is Heather Vickery, today and every day, reminding you to go out and choose bravely. Hey friends, I want to share something really exciting with you. We already know you enjoy listening to podcasts because you're listening to this one, but I'm also betting you enjoy audiobooks. And hey, listen, if you don't already enjoy audiobooks, then it's time to check them out. That's why I'm really excited to share Libro.fm with you. They are an incredible new platform for listening to audiobooks. And by choosing Libro.fm over other audiobook services, you are supporting a local bookstore of your choice and investing in your local community. Libro.fm offers over 150,000 audiobooks via their primary platform, which, by the way, they built with love and from scratch because they're a small business also. They even offer bookseller recommendations for great audiobook options. You can sign up right now via www.vickeryandco.com/LibroFM. That's vickeryandco.com/LIBROFM. And when you do, you'll get 1 free audiobook of your choice, and the proceeds will go to your favorite local bookstore. Now, check what I just said there. You're going to get a free book, and the proceeds are still going to go to your local bookstore because Libro.fm makes sure that their booksellers get paid even when they give a promo to customers. I've listened to over 20 audiobooks this year alone. I especially love listening to memoirs read by the author, and it feels great knowing that all of my purchases support my local bookstore, The Book Table, in Oak Park, Illinois. Libro.fm. The same audiobooks, the same price, but a completely different story. Check them out right now at vickeryandco.com/LibroFM. Have you ever thought about starting a podcast? Maybe you've had this thought and then quickly shut it down because who has the time? Or you don't know how, or gosh, it just all seems too hard. If you have something to share with the world, we want to encourage you to get your message out. The world needs to hear it. Did you know that 50% of all homes are podcast fans? If you've ever wondered about having your own podcast or how it can increase your business or get your message across, then please join me and the other experts from the Podcast Power Academy for our monthly free Q&A session. It's called So You Want to Start a Podcast? This casual live conversation will help you understand how podcasting can be a great decision, why now is the best time to get started, and how to get into action with it. Visit podcastpoweracademy.com to learn more. You've been listening to The Brave Files, stories of people living courageously. To learn more about the show, find our show notes and full episode transcripts, or to get some great bonus content, visit thebravefilespodcast.com. And we would love to know what you think of the show. You can give us a call at 312-646-0205. Let us know your thoughts on the episode, the show in general, or maybe share with us how you're out choosing bravely. This episode is brought to you by Vickery & Co. Success Coaching. Coaching that helps you maintain a life well lived and a business well run. Learn more at vickeryandco.com. Our music was created and produced in a custom collaboration with Matt Lewis from ML Creative Consulting, a boutique firm dedicated to helping clients identify their unique sound and amplify their brand with custom delivered soundtracks. We couldn't do any of this without our extraordinary audio engineer, Andrew Olson. Learn more about him and check out his work at findandrewolson.com. And special thanks to everyone on Team Brave, from our producers, associate producers, copy editors, writers, and support team. Special thanks to Molly, Mary, Kim, Sabra, and Sabrina. I'm your host and executive producer, Heather Vickery. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week.